Hi, everybody. It's week 7, ModPo 2025. Oh, wow. We have Jake Marmer here. And I just want to, I toyed with the idea of going around at the beginning instead of doing final words at the end. Jake, are you with me? Instead of doing final words at the end, I toyed with the idea of doing praise songs at the beginning. Everybody praising somebody else in the team. I think I just don't want to do that, but I do want to praise you, okay? So I have to say that when you joined ModPo, do you remember what year
How does that happen in life?
Praise song? Get that mic closer to you, okay? I'm going to praise you,
right.
but I'm not praising your mic skills.
Okay, good.
But no, closer. Put it all the way down.
I'm used to yelling into the mic and having to, put it away further. But
I thought you were going to say you're used to yelling at the kids.
No,
Come
God
inside.
forbid.
You're in Philadelphia. It's not safe to be out in the yard.
We're in Narberth. Yeah.
We're in Narberth. It is safe. Praise song. Praise for Jake Marmer, who... What year did you join us? 2015?
Probably, something like that.
Who, since he joined us in 2015, has really just given us depth and soul. Really, lots and lots of soul and just a beautiful thoughtfulness and brought his fabulous poetness to bring to bear on especially week 6 and 7, right? Especially week 6 and 7 and 10 and 1. All praise to Jake Marmer, who's back, but not really back because he's in Philly. Moved back to Philly, and it makes me happy just thinking you're out there, even though Narberth suburb, boo. But still praise for Jake Marmer, who can get on a train and get on a car and come see us a lot. But who's still not all the way back in because he's doing some kind of weird startup that he won't tell me about. All praise to the startup, but all boo to the startup. Fail, startup, fail. Please come back full time to ModPo. All praise. Anybody want to praise Jake Marmer? Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Phil.
Don't call me Phil, though, because that's not my name. Okay, no praise for the guy who forgets my name. Oh, boo. Anyway, Jake.
I'm losing it. Okay. Overwhelmed with all that praise, but it's good to
Welcome
be
back,
Al, and everybody.
Hello, Jake. Lainey Brown, hello.
Hello.
Sophia DuRose, who is doing 3-Ring Circus. Sophia has the laptop is monitoring the chat, as is Lainey, but also is plugged in to do audio because Al forgot his laptop.
Okay.
He's just in a tizzy. Why did Al forget his laptop, Allie Castleman? Any guesses?
There's something going on big in his life.
Because you became a grandpa.
I'm a grandfather. No way. I am a grandfather. Yes, let me just tell you about the lineage, and then we're going to go say hello to everybody else and pick favorite poems. And before I do the lineage, 267-838-9492. And do we have that up on the screen for everybody to see? Great. Zach confirms. There's also a code to enter. Please call. The first caller is going to get from our own Suzanne Miller, mainstay, ModPo mainstay, somebody who really, really is very active and keeps us all intellectually on our toes. Suzanne Miller has a chapbook. It's called No Paper Today, and the first caller will get a copy of No Paper Today. And the second caller is going to get a very special gift, but I'll tell you about that in a second. Meantime, lineage. Okay, so there was a man named Menachem in Warsaw, who's the only son of whom was named Ben. The only son, he had several sons, but none of them wasn't. All of them were gassed at Treblinka, but one got out and went to New York, and that one was Ben, and that Ben had a son named Sam, and that Sam had a son named Al, and that Al had a son named Ben, and that Ben now has a son named Sam. Respect for all the Sams and all the Bens, and respect for lineage, and respect for continuity, and respect for life. Okay, that's enough of that. Wow. I'm a grandfather.
That's a big one.
Look at these guys. I'm looking at them. Dave's like tearing up.
Oh.
Love you all. Okay. Yes, I've said hello to Jake and Sophia and Lainey. Now, Allie, hello. You're just going to wave? You're staying mute?
Oh, wait, when was the birthday?
Saturday.
Wow.
Yes.
The 11th?
Yes, Saturday the 11th. Are you going to do some horoscoping on me
Leanne
now?
Brown's birthday.
No, I like to
else?
know. It's a
Leanne
good
Brown's
day.
birthday.
Leanne Brown's birthday. Oh, I guess I knew that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's very cool. Okay. Hi, Kate Colby. How are you?
I'm good, but you got me crying.
How's the, oh, you're such a dear. How's the opposite of the grotto going?
Garrett,
The Garrett opposite, not.
I have my
not-
guttering
not-
candle next to me.
And are you writing with a quill pen today? Oh, hello. Dave Poplar, how are you?
Congrats, Al.
Thank you, Dave. It's very sweet. I would like for Sophia to take off one of her Crocs and hold it up to the camera. This is for Dave in particular. Okay.
You're very complete.
Okay. I don't know if anybody can see that.
They're limited edition.
Hold it still. Hold it still. They're not so good with the camera
There's a
work.
name
Hold
for
it
those
still.
things that go on top of a crock.
It's a crock with gibbets, and the gibbets are all pro Eagles.
Yeah.
There it is, right there.
Impressive.
Close up. Hold it still. Okay. Dave, how do you feel? I mean, feelings. How do you feel about that?
I have the same gibbets on one of my pairs of Crocs, the Eagles one.
Seriously?
I knew we
Yeah.
were.
You're not original, Sophia DeRose.
I didn't
You're not
design the
original.
Croc, no.
Okay, great.
No, but it's awesome. Crocs are great. I even have a T-shirt that says, "If you're not crocking, you're not rocking."
Okay, I really disapprove of all of this, but I just, since I love
started
I love Sophia DeRose so much that I will tolerate this person who works for me, may I point out, and who's walking around the writer's house in Eagles Crocs.
I support it.
I know you do. Sophia, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, I normally wear Docs, but today I wore Crocs, so
You're a poet.
yeah.
Okay, cool. And Erica. Hello, Erica. Hi, friend.
Hi, Al. You know who else has a birthday?
On the 11th?
Joan Ritalick's birthday is
On the
October.
11th?
Wow.
Oh, did you see her on her birthday by any chance?
I didn't. I'll see her on Friday.
Okay.
But, our mutual friend Isaac is October 10th. So this new tiny human is born in a good moment.
And Isaac is his middle name. Yes, please, please, please convey to Joan, who knows the Modpo people. We once went up there to see you, the team, and we had a great time. And Joan is just such an inspiration, really. One of the 2 or 3 pedagogical inspirations. Partly through your work, because you have been influenced by Joan, but partly through Stein. And anyway, it's something to talk about. Okay, I've said hello to everybody, and now what we're going to do is, we have somebody on the phone? No.
Max
we,
is here.
we have Max. Hey, Max. How are you?
Oh.
You unmuted, then you muted again. There you go.
Now I'm unmuted. Hey, Al, how are you?
Hey, good. You can stay unmuted unless there's like bulldozers in Berlin. gonna
There are
be
loud, rather iconic ambulance sirens. So
Iconic because in Berlin everybody's falling ill. I don't understand, but anyway.
No, it's that kind of that European banana sound.
No. Okay. Well, you mute as needed. Anyway, good to see you, Max. And we have in the room Gab, and in the room Tom. And hello.
Hi, I'm a guest.
You're a guest, but do you have a name? Monty?
Yeah.
Can you spell that?
Mengting.
M-E-N-G. I missed it. Okay, I'm going to go with that. All right, well, welcome. So we're going to get favorite poems, and we'll see how that goes. I think Sophia's office hour had a little, what's the word, referendum on the randomness of the picking. And most people thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
One person, old school person, said no, and the implication was Al should pick.
I don't know if the implication was
It
Al
was.
should be. I don't want to call them out.
But generally, people approve of the collection of favorite poems and then the randomization and gamification of picking.
Oh, is that how it goes now?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Jake, you joined us after we've gamified. Okay, so let's go with Erica first with Dave on deck. Favorite poem, week 7.
Well, this week I'm thinking a lot about Alice Notley, and I would nominate the poem called "Poem" from Modpo Plus.
Such a good poem, and we had a conversation in New York about it and recorded a conversation. So I love that. That has gone in the cup, and if Sophia had her way, there would be 2 Notleys in the cup. But no, let's not do that. Let's just give everybody an equal chance. But we mourn Alice, and that poem is such a perfect Modpo poem. It's a meta poem. Great. Okay. Dave is up, and Max will be on deck.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers by Bernadette Mayer.
Great. And I had on my list of announcements a reminder that people are writing essays this week on a poem by Bernadette that the brilliant Lainey Brown chose for this week. Do you remember the title of the poem, and can you tell us just...
I actually don't remember, but we
It's
can
something
look.
about putting books back on the shelves. I think it might be
Yes.
it. Might be that.
That sounds right.
We would
Oh,
urge everybody who hasn't tried to write a poem in which you close read a poem, to write an essay in which you close read a poem, to do so. Check out Bernadette's poem. If there's a minute at the end, maybe someone will read the poem aloud. It's a classic. It's really great. And a lot of Bernadette's poems have lists of books that she reads. In this case, if there's something Ratalakian about her putting them, reciting the names of the books that she's putting back on shelves, which is pretty cool. Okay, thank you, Dave. And Max is up with Lainey on deck.
John Ashbery is just walking around. Is that in Modpo Plus now?
Absolutely. Are you
Or-
kidding?
It is. Yeah, no. I was just looking on the main syllabus, and I figured it was in Modpo. I didn't
It's
remember.
never
that-
been in the main syllabus, Max. I'm sorry. The reason you're misremembering that is that we have made that poem anthemic to the course.
That is probably why. Yes.
It is,
was indeed
along with
anthemic
The Brain
10 years
Within
ago.
Its Groove,
For
and
sure, yeah.
4 or 5 other poems. I would say Langston Hughes' Dinner Guest Me is one of those. I'm going to guess people would agree that Boy Breaking Glass is one of those.
Sure.
And anything that Jake Marmer writes is one of those. All praise. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, Max. Okay, Lainey's up and Allie's on deck. Favorite poem?
I'm going to pick Barbara Guest poem in Mod Po Plus called Roses.
Oh, wow.
Because it makes a link from Stein and portraiture and to painting in poems, which is also important in week 7.
Beautiful. So people who loved week 3 and week 4 in particular. Week 3 because Williams, The Rose is obsolete, HD, C Rose, and so on. And then 4 with Stein, A Rose is a Rose is a Rose, and so forth. This is a great way to connect back. A great way to do it. Thank you. Great suggestion. And that's Lainey, and Allie's up with Kate on deck.
I'm gonna squeeze in 2.
Nice.
Salute by James Schuyler in Modpo Plus, and The Day Lady Died.
Oh, wow. Okay,
By
cool.
Frank, because I'm feeling sad about D'Angelo.
Yeah. And, something that will be celebrated by the old school people who think Al should pick poems to talk about. I'm going to ask, Zach, can we get a shot of the book I'm holding up? This is Kate Colby's new book. And at some point after we talk about a couple of favorite poems, I'm going to ask Kate to read one of the sections of this new book. I've sent a PDF to the TAs, and it's riffing on O'Hara. Am I right? So
Can I just say how great the book is, and everybody should get it. It's amazing, and there's a lot of Mod Po poets who are discussed. In fact, I had been flagging all the pages that we could do what we're doing today, and we get a sense of how Kate's poetics have developed in this lyric memoir short series of short essays. So it's beautiful. Everybody
it
should
is beautiful.
get it.
And I also want to just heap upon the happy feelings because Mod Po is an ongoing, organic is an overused word, but I'm going to use it, an ongoing inter-animating organic situation of 13 or 14 years now running, in which we have the great privilege of having important poets at the table, as it were. And those poets respond to the poetry, not because ModPo influenced me, although that's probably true with Kate. We've seen that before, but also because what living poet is not going to care about the lineages and the influences and the traditions of the poets that we talk about all the time. So it's not only that they get into your bloodstream or under your skin in the best sense, but so there's a protest going on outside or
Something.
singing? What is it?
I don't know,
I
but
can't
we
hear the
hear
song.
it. We
Maybe
hear
it's
it.
they're chanting for the Eagles. The Eagles,
for
sorry.
Kate.
Or for
Or
Kate.
for Kate.
Or
All
for
hail
Ben.
Kate Colby.
Or for Jake.
In a case, a key principle about live television is do not respond to noise that
Oh,
only you
sorry.
can hear that nobody else can hear.
My bad.
Okay, but it's because you guys can't hear it. But anyway, I'm just so thrilled that Kate is here and that we're actually going to have a kind of live, the book is just out kind of response that becomes an addition, augmentation to the syllabus itself. Pretty great. I forgot who's on deck.
Kate.
Kate. Kate, you're up, and Jake, you're on deck.
Well, I guess I'm just gonna cry my way through this whole webcast. Thank you. That was really nice. I'm gonna pick the incorporation of Sophia's cereal
Oh, one of my
from
favorites.
ModPo Plus, which is a perennial favorite of mine.
Such a good poem. Thank you, Kate. Jake is up, and Gab is on deck.
Cool. Well, in the spirit of never giving a straight gamifiable answer, I'll just say that last night I had this O'Hara poem just kind of surface in my head, as they sometimes do. It's I don't think it's on our syllabus, but it's called Mayakovsky. If people know O'Hara's poem Mayakovsky, like the last segment, the fourth final segment of O'Hara's Mayakovsky, I would say that one.
You're picking a poem that's not in ModPo Plus?
You know, just
Jake,
to
you
mess
forgot
with
the
you a
rules.
little.
You forgot the rules.
Yeah, right. I gotta know them to break them. Okay, fine. Well, I'll also say just to pile on, Ron Padgett's "The Austrian Maiden" made me crack up, and I appreciate.
Oh,
that.
that's a poem talk poem. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay. Thanks for coming from left field. Appreciate
the
you.
idea.
Okay, I'm not withdrawing any of that praise. Did I put Gab on deck? I can't.
Yes.
Did I? Okay. Gab. Hello, Gab.
Hello.
You have the mic. Good. You're set. And let's get Tom on deck after that for New York School Poet, if you're willing, Tom. Oh, sure. Okay, Gab.
I vote for Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Okay, Invasion
love
of the
it.
Body Snatchers. And it really is that time of year, right?
Yeah.
Always, in fact, when this happens, we get to the point where it's almost Halloween or whatever. Tom is up, and Sophia DeRose is on deck.
You want a poem from me?
Yeah, if you'd like.
Well, I'm going to have to go with the very obvious self-portrait
In a convex mirror, also not in ModPo.
Well, I have no way of knowing that, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, I think if it gets chosen from the cup, we're going to be challenged because, first of all, it's a very long poem. But maybe if it gets picked, we can just talk about its involution and recursiveness because it's just so amazing.
Read the first something.
We could read the
Amazing.
first few lines. Okay. And I'm going to say Mongteng, mispronouncing it with apologies.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I don't know whether it is eligible. I don't know what's the selection
New York
criterion.
School, Ashbury, O'Hara, Barbara Guest. Nobody's mentioned Guest.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll just pick my favorite one. I like Emily Dickinson's "I Died for Beauty."
I Die for Beauty, a throwback to Dickinson. Okay, I think Sophia, I may have skipped you, Sophia. Sophia's up, and then we're going to have somebody on the phone give us a favorite poem for the
And
week.
we have Jason joined us.
And Jason has just joined us. Jason, we're going around for favorite poems, week 7, so you'll be up next. Sophia?
I'm gonna go with USA versus Cuba.
Oh, wow.
Because we talked about it in my office hour this morning, and I thought it was a great conversation.
Hanif Abdurraqib. Fantastic poem. Good choice. Okay, Jason, favorite poem this week?
I would do, I'd actually go back to, let's see, come back to me 1 second.
Okay, who is on the phone, Chris?
Stanley in New Mexico, our dear friend.
Stanley!
Yes.
Hello, Stanley. How are you?
Are you there? Am I on?
You are on. We can hear you.
Hello.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello.
Stanley, can you hear me?
Hello.
Chris, have you failed or has Stanley failed?
Hey. Okay. Is that Al?
It's me, yes. Hi, Stanley.
Chris, we're not in.
What's
Do
that?
your magic. Do your magic. I'm not on yet.
Oh, you are on.
Where am I?
Yes, you're very much
okay.
on.
Okay. Well, Sophia, you took the words right out of my mouth. That was the greatest office hours we've had this year. I just want to tell you.
Aw.
And I'm
Wait,
all for
Stanley?
continuing USA.
Stanley, would you say two really great things about Sophia DeRose, please?
I love the fact that she's a 6 o'clock in the morning office hour, because for me that's, I mean 6 o'clock to me, it's 8 o'clock to her.
Right.
And the fact that she has actually told us, tell them what you did. You shotgun beers when you were young.
Wait, I'm sorry. You're drinking beer at 8 a.m.?
No. In USA versus Cuba, a defining action of the poem is someone shotgunning a beer. And Stanley shared that he had never shotgunned a beer. And I said, well, I can't relate because I have. So
But
not
you
at
didn't-
8 o'clock in the
but
morning.
did
It's just
Sta-
like
did Stanley
in my
shotgun a
life
beer
at
at
one
6
point.
a.m.?
No.
I'm confused. But
Was
anyway,
Clay not sure?
Stanley, that was one praise. Can you think of another?
Yeah, but I know some secrets about her, that she lives close enough to, her office is close enough she can talk to Andrew Beale every day.
Oh, wow.
And you.
That has
And,
never really been said in Modpo. Andrew Beale's name has never been mentioned in Modpo. He's a member of the Writers House staff. This webcast is really going sideways.
Yeah.
Anyway, Stanley,
Is that what,
tell us your favorite.
wait a minute, you
poem.
guys are talking and I'm behind you.
That's all right.
He seconded
You shouldn't
her.
be listening to the webcast. You should be just listening to my voice on the phone. And
All I'm doing is watching the CC. What are those
don't
things
do
called?
that. Don't do
You know,
that.
I can see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't do that. What
But
just
USA and Cuba
USA versus
really,
Cuba.
and Sophia, you have to pronounce the person's name who wrote that, by the way.
Abdurraqib.
What's her name?
What?
The name of the poet who wrote USA versus Cuba.
Oh, I said in office hours I wasn't sure if I knew how to pronounce his last name. Hanif.
All right, great. Stanley, thank you for the suggestion. It's going into the cup. There's now twice as much chance that it will be picked. Have a great day, Stanley.
That is another thing we were talking about in office hours, was how the vote gets kind of changed when there's more than one vote in the cup.
Yeah. Well, you just
Okay.
rigged the system. Stanley, thank you for calling. Have a really great day, and we'll listen to the rest of the webcast. We appreciate your call. Oh, also, we have your address already. We're going to send you a copy of this chapbook. Okay.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Namaste, namaste, namaste.
Thank you, Stanley. Okay, now we're going to pick. Here we are, 25 minutes into the webcast, and we're picking the first poem.
Jason?
Jason, I'm so sorry. Throw another one into the cup, please.
I would throw in I don't know. I mean, what's been picked so far?
A lot of them. Just
So
if
good.
if you pick one, it'll probably be a double.
Yeah, I picked the Hanif Abdur.
Great. USA versus Cuba. That's 3 votes. Okay.
Yeah.
Sophia's going to pick one.
I'm going to shake it up and let Jake
Yeah, I think Jake should
pick.
pick.
Jake gets to pick.
Shake it once. Shake it twice.
Oh my gosh. This may be the only lotto I'll ever win.
Okay, here it goes.
And just walking around.
Just walking
John
around.
Right.
So I'm going to ask 4 people to speak briefly about Just Walking Around because it's something we've talked about a lot. Kate, Dave, Erica, and Max. Starting with Kate, say one thing about Just Walking Around, please. John Ashbery.
Sorry, I'm just looking for it. Here it is. This poem is very moving. Sorry, I haven't read it this year yet.
Hey, Kate,
It's not-
we're going to play just like 20 seconds to have
That'd be great.
John's voice fill your ears, and then we'll go around. Yeah, you're really going to find it that way? Okay.
What do you mean?
She doesn't have Al's skills at finding audio. You could use ModPo, you know.
There you go.
And this is another request from the same source, actually.
From the same source. That was me.
Just walking around.
I requested it. I was the same source. He didn't-
What
he
name
forgot
do
my
I
name.
have for you? Certainly there is no name for you, in the sense that the stars have names that somehow fit them. Just walking around, an object of curiosity to some, but you are too preoccupied by the secret smudge in the back of your soul to say much and wander around smiling to yourself and others. It gets to be kind of lonely, but at the same time off-putting, counterproductive, as you realize once again that the longest way is the most efficient way, one that looped among islands, and you always seem to be traveling in a circle. And now that the end is near, the segments of the trip swing open like an orange. There is light in there, and mystery and food. Come see it. Come not for me, but it. But if I'm still there, grant that we may see each other.
That's John Ashbery. Okay, Kate, Dave, Erica, Max, briefly each.
I love that this poem was written toward the end of his life, and it really summarizes or encapsulates and describes the whole New York School mode of looping among islands, taking the longest way as the most efficient way, but he kind of arrives somewhere at the end, which doesn't always happen.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Dave, then Erica.
I really love the line that the longest way is the most efficient way, because it sort of sums up the poem and the idea that, you know, shortcuts don't help. You need to take the long way or you'll miss too much. And it's almost in language, like right before it mentions counterproductive. It's almost in language like business efficiency and productivity, as if he's like telling other people to stop and slow down and do this in their own language.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. He's playing upon notions of efficiency that he has no interest in, you know, actually. And when the word mystery and food, the phrase mystery and food happened, I noticed that our mystery-obsessed person at the end of the table had a very positive reaction to that.
Anything food.
Yeah, it's all about food, right? Okay, not about mystery. Erica, followed by Max, quickly on this one.
Yeah, I agree with what Kate was saying. This feels to me kind of like a quintessential New York School poem in the way that we're kind of walking around inside of the poem with the poet, and there's an element of the meta-poetic in this poem. I also think that the use of quatrains here is kind of brilliant because there's a lot of walking that happens between the stanzas.
Beautiful. Okay, cool. Max?
I share Dave's sentiment. I mean, I love the fact that this is a poem that celebrates inefficiency. It celebrates taking your time. It celebrates being behind, being slow in a way, which is something that it's a sentiment that we don't have often enough, I think, in the present. But I think at the same time, it's also it's a poem that's both very complex, but quite light and delicate and fleet at the same time. It brings both of these feelings and these aesthetics together, and that's I mean, it's kind of like it's unfathomable in that way. It's like an organism or something. And I think in some ways it's like one of the best Mod Po style poems we have.
Yeah, beautiful. Well said. I'm going to give Sophia and Lainey a chance to look at the stream of comments that are going on in a second to gather their wits about that and quote a few. I think I just want to say that I once was asked to do a collaborative close reading of a poem to a room full of 250 high school students and their parents at a Quaker school out in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And I chose this poem, which is, that's not the right choice. First of all, for the go get 'em mainline, sorry, Jake, like these kids got to get into college, that whole spirit that was there despite the Quakerism. And, I wound up kind of preaching through Ashbery this idea that we all should do a lot more just walking around. Or if we don't just walk around, at least when we run into somebody on the sidewalk who's kind of lonely and who has a smudge in the back of their head, that we should tolerate them, maybe give them some money so they can go home and write some poems. Okay, yeah, really, art grant, to give an art grant to a person wandering around, just walking around. I mean, I think the world would be better for that. Call me a socialist if you want.
Socialist.
You just called me a socialist, okay. Okay, Sophia and Lainey, just some thoughts that are being scrolled by you.
Robin Carlos writes, I love just here in the same way as in some trees. Yeah. And Emma is praising Erica. Erica always blows my mind.
Truth. And mine and ours, yes. Cool. Sophia?
I was going to bring up Robin's comment also. Miranda mentioned there's definitely this sense of connection to the stars, the light in the orange, me, you, far out to space, and then inside to ourselves.
Very nice. Thank you all for your comments, and we do really love watching that chat scroll forth. Okay, so we're going to get, in a second, we're going to get another selection from the mug, and for that, I'm going to ask Jake, Allie, and Gab to speak, to comment. And before that, here's an advertisement, Zach. I finally got a copy of my own book. I don't know why it's taken so long. Other people have gotten it. T in the Philippines got a copy before I did, I think. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with a copy going to the Philippines. Yay, more power to it. But, New York to Philly is a little easier. Anyway, yes, the book is out. It's about Mod Po, and I hope that a lot of people will acquire it. And maybe acquire is a nice word for buy. And just keep in mind that that even any tiny bit of royalty earned from this book is going to be donated to the Kelly Writers House, to our Digital Poetries Fund, which makes Mod Po possible. So it's a meta transaction. Anyway, okay, here we go. Who's Jake? Are you picking from the mug?
I can.
Here we go.
Okay, because after this, we're going to turn to Kate's poem.
Okay, cool. Okay, I Die for Beauty, Emily Dickinson.
Mangteng, it has been 7 weeks since we did anything like that. Are you okay? I mean, no, I should not do this.
Let's do it this week.
Let's do it. Okay, somebody find the poem. And here's the job. Okay, here's the job.
Connect
Jake,
it.
Allie, and Gab. Lainey is channeling my brain.
Yeah.
Your job is to read the Dickinson poem as a New York school poet would interpret it. Connect it to the New York school. Good luck. I shall read it aloud. I died for beauty, but was scarce. It's known as I Died for Beauty, but if you title the poems their first lines, it should be I died for beauty, but was scarce. Here it is. What? Am I being pedantic?
No.
Okay. I died for beauty, but was scarce, adjusted in the tomb, when one who died for truth was lain in an adjoining room. I'm sorry, it makes me so brilliant, crazy. He questioned softly why I failed. For beauty, I replied, and I for truth. Themself are one. We brethren are, he said. And so, as kinsmen met a night, we talked between the rooms until the moss had reached our lips and covered up our names. Not covered up our tombs, which would rhyme with rooms, but the names. That is really fucking brilliant. Can I say Emily Dickinson's a pretty good poet? Okay, good luck.
I think we need to add this poem.
I think it's
it's happening right now.
I think it's happening now. It's a great poem. Okay, Jake, connect it to the New York School. Good luck. Followed by Allie, followed by Gab. Good luck, good luck, good luck.
Okay, well, a bit of a stretch, but I am thinking about the connection between the. He questioned softly why I failed for beauty. I replied to the long way around, the winding way, the inefficient way. Here again, there is a celebration of failure for the sake of beauty.
Wow, good.
Of taking a detour, of once again not. What was your description? Main line, rah rah rah.
Yes.
Suburb dig that you had there.
Did I say main line? Yes, main line go-getterism. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sure. That. So I think this is something else again.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you, Jake. Allie, can you connect to this week? Dickinson?
Yeah, I actually
Dickinson
think
usually
it's-
doesn't show up this week very often. So.
No. But I think there's something super lovely about imagining members of the New York School who are no longer with us, still kind of continuing their conversation and their friendship and their community, which was so much about friendship, but also writing poetry, still talking about beauty and truth. And they're talking between the rooms. So yeah, I like the sense of real like conversation and community and like needing to get to something.
I think the New York School people were pretty optimistic about the future of the poems. On the whole, they thought that writing meant a special existence beyond life. Emily Dickinson is much more ghoulish because they only get to talk between the rooms until the moss grows up and can't talk anymore. So, yeah, I love that. Okay, Gab, what are you going to do with this? You didn't come here today expecting to do Dickinson applied to the New York School. You need a mic.
Yeah, this is my first time reading this poem. So I think what I'm noticing is the dialogue in the middle. I feel like quoted dialogue in a poem stands out to me because it feels a lot more prose-like, whereas in this short poem, it kind of creates this weird liminal, almost half conversation, and then goes back into the more poetic, story-like narrative. Which feels kind of new school, disruptive, like what makes a poem in a way.
Nice. Yeah, Thank you all. Okay, Kate, can we turn? Now, the people listening at home have no access to this poem. So we apologize to everybody out there. So this is section, is it 7, Kate?
6.
Section 6 of the new book by Kate called Paradox. And there is a section that refers to the day Lady died, and I think that's all we'll tell people, and then we'll see how we go. I'm going to ask for Sophia, Jason, Lainey, the three of you, to speak very briefly in response to the O'Hara that Kate Colby presents. Not an easy thing, but it's going to be fun. Okay, Kate, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. I just want to say that by way of not explanation, but context, that the book, it doesn't much concern, but it is located in the first 100 days of the pandemic lockdown. So section 6 would be day 6.
Okay.
Sometimes I narrate my day to myself in the manner of Frank O'Hara's The Day Lady Died. It is 10 a.m. on a Thursday, one day before spring break. Yes, it is 2020, and I crunch down Benefit Street to the Athenaeum with my 2 bags of books I won't read because I have all this email. And I send some messages to the kids' teachers and Todd and the soccer coach, and walk 2 blocks for bibimbap when I see John and plan to ask after Joanna, but I don't. He's gone before I'm done chiseling the burned rice from the bottom, which is the best part. I go over the hill to Thayer Street, but school's not out for 30 more minutes, so I stop into Urban Outfitters to see what kids are wearing these days, which is exactly what I was wearing 25 years ago when I used to shop there. And I'm still early, so scroll through Instagram at Blue State Coffee and avoid eye contact with the baristas because I don't want to pay to sit here for a few minutes. And I'm feeling old and tired by now and thinking of a TV show I want to watch, but it's on Hulu, and we already subscribe to HBO and Netflix. So do I wait and shell out for it, which would give me more excuses to never go much of anywhere, really? That was the last day I went anywhere at all. Now I don't do this, I don't do that. I spent my junior year of college in Paris, where I lived with an older woman in an apartment full of demi-tasse spoons. She was obsessed with her weight, and for breakfast ate a few milliliters of unflavored yogurt with a packet of sweetener in it. When she went out at night, I folded her back flesh into her dress and zipped it. I walked around the city with a mixtape my boyfriend Andres made me. Bone Machine, Cotton Crown, Pictures of You. If only I'd thought of the right words, I wouldn't be breaking apart. We broke up 2 months later. When I hear that song now, I see me walking through Paris, so blessedly separate from my own experience.
Oh, Kate, so well chosen to represent the book. Thank you so much. Okay, let's just see what happens. Sophia, Lainey, Jason, just whatever thoughts you have about Kate's management of the week 7 topics and mode. So, Lainey, are you okay starting?
Yeah. So such an amazing piece, Kate. I love it. I'm just noting how Kate's poem is incorporating many elements that are in the O'Hara poem, yet with a twist that is, being Kate, being a woman, being a mother, having a different relationship to economics. We start out with narrating the day to oneself as a strategy, and we start out with walking around, but not walking around in New York City, walking around in Providence. And I can add that because I've lived in Providence, that where she's talking about is familiar to me. So there's this really interesting element of time travel in both of the poems, like being in the present and then remembering to the past in the O'Hara poem, and to music. And in this poem, it's different because there are both real in person and digital communications, and then a bemoaning of what happens during COVID when you don't do this and that. And the relationship to time is much more concerned with having to be there at the right time for one's children and being early which is really different than Frank, who's just like getting off of work and going to be at a party and buying a present, going to a fancy dinner party. Kate is like, I'm still early. I'm going to walk around and look around. And then we end with a musical memory, which is a very different emotional register than in O'Hara, but all these elements she's translated into this immediacy.
Fantastic. Jason, I assigned you to comment on this, but I don't know whether you got the email with the text of the poem. Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
I did.
good. Do you want to say something about its O'Hara-ness or anything else?
Sure. Yeah, and I think it's underneath things here, like in the way the O'Hara poem ends with something tragic. We're also dealing here with the onset of COVID and the tragic events for many that transpired. But I think that, yeah, it's great. I know this area also, and he is able to, even these something that's not so much in the O'Hara is the food details, the chiseling, the burned rice, the yogurt, get that other register. And yeah, and the dithering, the quandariness of O'Hara is is here with the kind of array of digital offerings that one has to negotiate.
Yeah, I love how you added that in there. I guess I would thank you so much, Jason. I went, Kate, this is my problem, not yours. My fault, not yours. But I was looking for the equivalent of the revelation in the 5 spot. And I had to work at it and found it in the broken relationship and the memory. And I really wanted it to do what it did rather than simply end up in the same situation of breathlessness. Hey, this is great. Kate, do you want to say anything about hearing us talk about this poem? I assume this is the first time there's been a discussion about it.
Yes, it is the first time. I'm so flattered. I like talking about it with all of you because, among other things, the book is a kind of Gen X reckoning with its own irony and disaffection. So I think in the O'Hara pastiche, I was sort of drawing a contrast between the kind of Gen X reflexive, ironic mode and the jubilant and much more earnest and engaged mode of the New York school.
Love that. Dave, you sat up and leaned forward when the generational quality was mentioned. Did you have a thought?
No, I love the Gen X ironic reckoning of this book. It's almost like if Susan Howe was writing Gen X observations of her life. It's cool. It's great. It's awesome.
Thank you, Kate. By the way, are we like finger waving and snapping at Kate Colby as a poet?
Great
I think we
poem.
definitely are. Really terrific, Kate. Oh gosh, that makes me feel good that such a good poet is in our world here. I think I'd like to throw us a little curveball and ask everyone, super briefly, to toss out onto the table. There are going to be 2 rounds of this. The first round is going to be one salient, cogent, positive that you get from the New York School, that you like from the New York School, that you learn from the New York School, that you find yourself imitating of the New York School, that makes you smile with the New York School. A positive, okay? So we're going to start with Sophia, and Lainey will be on deck quickly. Go, Sophia. Sorry, you didn't have much time.
Well, I had something to say about Kate's poem. I've been skipped.
Oh, okay. No, go ahead.
I think I can
mutiny my plan.
I
Go
think
ahead.
I can make it answer your question.
No, don't do that. Just say something about Kate.
I was thinking about the being inspired by this Frank O'Hara poem, "The Day Lady Died," and how I really appreciate that narrating one's life in the manner of Frank O'Hara is kind of a good way to make any day feel worthy of a poem. But there is a stark contrast in the time element, whereas in The Day Lady Died, time is kind of entirely the narrator's own, and there's an obviousness and a dailiness to the truth of a tragedy. But in Kate's rendition, there's like there's a feeling of time not being one's own, and I appreciate the tension between those 2 actions, and obviously like the reversal of the New York School axiom of I do this, I do that, and she's saying now I don't do this, I don't do that, and I thought that was lovely.
That's great. I'm glad you went ahead and said what was on your mind, but I'm going to stick to this plan, and since you just said something that can be reduced to a favorite positive quality of the New York School, you go first, and then Lainey. Briefly.
A favorite positive quality of the New York School. I think I'd just say the allowance for dailiness to sneak in and resonate.
Great. Fantastic. Lainey?
Sociability.
Yes. Sociability. Jake?
Well,
Kate will be on deck. Go ahead.
Olson said that poetry is energy transfer from where the poet got it, and O'Hara is the one poet where I feel that very intensely, the energy transfer. It's palpable. I mean, Kate, in your piece, like there's an energy transfer, like his frenetic energy of the thought is in there, and then, what you're doing as you exiting the O'Hara style narrative, like I feel like you two are absorbing that energy transfer quality that I love about New York School.
Kate, positive quality of the New York School, followed by Dave.
I think allowing for high and low to coexist, just letting it all in
Yes.
as it
It's very
comes
inclusive.
at
Yeah,
the poet.
very inclusive, topically and otherwise. Cool. Dave, followed by Erica.
I love it. It's not just it's not just the immediacy, but the incongruity. A lot of the images, and I think that's why it winds up being so humorous. Because incongruity theory is actually like a theory of humor, why we find things funny. So I just love how it's being immediate, but at the same time, it's not taking itself seriously in recognizing incongruities.
Erica will be followed by Allie, but I'll also ask Sophia and Lainey to, or actually I'll ask the people following along in the chat to put up their favorite positive qualities too, so we can read those off. Okay, Erica, followed by Allie.
Okay, 3 very quick things. One is how Eileen Miles says, I can connect any 2 things, that's God. 2 is Alice Notley's sense of the poem and disobedience. And 3 would be what Barbara Guest teaches us about imagistic narrative, like, ways of kind of placing images alongside one another in order to create a new sense of narrative and motion.
That was expert. Three qualities that were delivered perfectly. And if I were a student of this poetry, I guess I am, but if I were feeling student-like, I would have taken notes on that. So thank you, Erica. Allie, and then Max.
I love absolutely everything about the New York School, but I guess right now I'm thinking about the kind of like almost meta poetics of time and how in like focusing on dailiness and like focusing on the immediate, you almost can't avoid entering different time registers and like capturing a simultaneity of time. So I think that's super cool. And a lot of these poets do it.
They do, indeed. Max, followed by Jason.
I'm going to say the flaneurism, the openness to digression and spontaneity.
Max, when you walk around a city, be it, well, Cape May is not a city, Philadelphia, New York, Berlin, Chicago, does that is flaneurism a word? Flaneurisme?
Why not?
Does that get you? Is that something that you realize from the city, or maybe the New York School taught you how to turn a city into the flaneurs appreciation?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that there is the New York School puts a very, let's say, contemporary aesthetic to what is a somewhat older 19th century idea, right, of the flaneur and flannery. And I think in that way, it does kind of give you a model for existing in the modern city, or for ways to find, to discover the unexpected in the modern city, and to maybe try, when you have the time and the luxury to do it, to not just try to get from point A to point B in your physical mobility, but right, to try to take the long way around in your when walking around, from just being out, and in that way to also open your mind to taking the long way around, right, to thinking and to thinking in the way that you move through the city.
Can't we all just translate that into an activity, translate this praise of this quality of this art school into an activity? And that activity would be, the next time you have a break, a day off, spend the entire day going nowhere planned. And I keep hearing Jimmy Schuyler saying, I just can't get over how, and then, but I think I just can't get over is a really great state for the mind to be in.
The way it all works together.
The way it all works together. And it will always, in the Eileen Miles sense of I can connect two things, that's God. I think what Schuyler's doing is godlike in feeling like it will all come together because I, an artist, am seeing it, period. Yeah. Jason, a positive quality before we turn to concerns, because that's what we're doing next.
Yeah, I think it's the sense of play at and the sense of possibility and the connection of the unexpected.
Yes, I love that. Love that. Thank you. We have somebody on the phone. No, we don't. Okay, so now we're going to go through the whole team again. This time we'll add Gab, if Gab is okay with it. And now you're going to talk about concerns, criticisms, worries, negatives, unintended negative consequences, if there are any, and you can pass. Because I think Allie said, there's nothing I don't like about the New York, or that's not quite what you said, actually. You have a lot of appreciation. Okay, so we're going to go back to the top. Sophia, followed by Lainey. Concerns, problems.
Well, I wanted to mention something Hannah Linden said in the chat in reference to the poems that Erica brought up. She said, in a way, they're great poems for celebrating ADHD ways of processing things around you tangentially. And I actually thought that was a great way to put
Yeah.
it.
And while we're looking at the chat, would you and Lainey just shout out some of the positives that these people accumulated?
Miranda said, I love that. Sorry, I wrote it down and I can't read my handwriting. I love that a good way to make, it's like every day is worthy of a poem. In other words, you've always got material. And Vijaya talked about, observation, observing the world, which is like, being in public space. The flaneur, as you were saying.
Yeah, and Laura Lippman said, yes, I love the celebration of the quotidian.
Great. Okay, Lainey, concern? Oh, wait, you didn't get to do your concern.
My concern is that Al keeps skipping me. I don't know. I love the New York School. I don't personally have a vested concern in anything that it really does. I think that perhaps an outside perspective could be, what's it called? It could critique this free associative mode that sometimes happens in New York School poetry, where because the intrusion of the dailiness doesn't align with other canonical poems that are more obviously romantic or beautiful, some folks could be like, what makes this a poem? I don't get it. I don't have that personal issue with New York School poetry, though, but I do think it's a present concern of some other folks, maybe.
Thank you. Lainey, followed by Jake.
I would say the concern that comes to mind for this week is a concern that I have for every week is a question of representation. So, who are the women? I'm always trying to add more women to the main syllabus is bereft. There's not enough women. Can I say it again? There's not enough women. There's not enough representation of people of color. Just who had access to this elation of walking around New York City, and it's all so wonderful. But we could talk about the economics and the issues of representation pretty much every week, including this week, and going further into the past. But I just wanted to note a couple more positives that we didn't get to, because I also really love this week so much. And one of the ones I know Al will agree with me. So one of the great things about New York School poets is New York City.
New York.
And another one is painting, which comes up in many weeks in ModPo, and here particularly.
Thank you. Jake, concerns, followed by Kate.
Well, hard to. It's like having concerns about a mountain, But if I were to pick something, I think just the mere fact that there is such a thing as an O'Hara poem or an Ashbery poem, that in and of itself could become concerning. I think maybe they wrote themselves into certain paradigms where they become recognizable for
well,
the
Ashbery
thing that
just
they
never
do.
stopped writing an Ashbery poem, one after another, till it accumulated to thousands. Some of them are, and some of them are, I can't believe he wrote that. That's amazing.
Right. So I don't know. Maybe the poet's task is to try to, or an artist's task is to attempt to reinvent oneself. And maybe in some way they did. Maybe I'm simplifying this, but this does come to mind.
Great. Thank you. Kate, followed by Dave.
I'm just going to echo everything Lainey's said for the last 15 minutes, but my critique is also my favorite thing and a defining quality of the New York, or mostly the first string of New York School poets, is the blitheness of men whose time is thoroughly their own, and who have a certain amount of privilege and safety in spite of their queerness, which was no small thing at the time. But also that's what makes these poems so lovely, is the trust in the world and the people around them, and the trust in their safety and ability to move freely.
You get in Ashbery and O'Hara the privilege of Harvard, followed by the privilege of New York, with some, part-time or full-time jobs they didn't pay much attention to, writing copy at MoMA, lots of lunch breaks, and The Day Lady Died is really a poem about privilege. You know, just one little luscious privilege after another, and that's why the poem calls itself up short, breathlessly, like, holy shit, yeah, it's true. I'm going to the Hamptons and I don't know who will feed me, but someone's going to feed me, okay? But then I remember the 5 spot, and I remember Billie Holiday, who didn't have any particular privilege at certain points in her life, and that brought me up short. So the poem brings itself up short. It tries to do that, to point out its privilege and how it can take your breath away to think otherwise. Dave, followed by Erica.
I think this is loosely related, but because the poems can be so personal, almost as if they're dialogues with the other New York school poets, it almost sometimes seems like there can be inside jokes that readers aren't privileged to, and sort of keeps us on the outside. But it's sort of a reflection of the coolness and tightness of their own little community, but it puts the readers on the outside sometimes.
Thank you, Dave. Erica, followed by Allie.
No, I mean, I think a lot of my concerns have already been mentioned as far as issues around diversity and class, and, you know, what I would kind of call like the elitism of the inside baseball type of referentiality that happens. But I would also say that if if you spend time with some of the women that are affiliated with the New York School, the concerns are actually quite different. And there I'm thinking about Barbara Guest, Alice Notley, Ann Waldman, Bernadette Mayer, Eileen Miles. I mean, in that first generation, Barbara Guest's concerns and the style of her poetics is significantly different from any of the men. And I think that she brings forward something really important about domesticity that that creates different stakes in how we think about her poems.
And Mayer in the second generation, among others, really makes that essential. And it's implicitly a critique of what the guys were doing.
Yeah, and Alice does it too in her baby poems.
Yes. Thank you, Erica. Allie, followed by Max.
Yeah, I mean, this is just kind of saying what many people have already said in a different way about privilege, diversity, representation. But just the very fact of like it being a school and kind of like the center of the New York school being like a clique. But I think that it's important, you know, both how like that was defined at the time and how we define it in this course, right? But I do think that like and Erica was just speaking to this, like it does ripple out and the influence is so palpable in so much poetry from that point on, that I do think that kind of, you know, inside baseball clique, like these are just kind of a group of friends. The fact that it speaks to so many people outside of that is a really redeeming thing.
Yes, thank you. I mean, downside of name dropping keeps you out inside versus outside. The upside of name dropping is if you just relax a little about not knowing all those people are being mentioned, you realize that there is a sociality of, and you can do it too because you have your first name droppy feelings and you have your people. And I think that O'Hara in particular taught us how we can do that for ourselves. Okay, Max, followed by Jason.
Yeah, I share all of the foregoing concerns. I mean, what I like about the New York School, the flânerie is also what's problematic about it, right? Because the practice of flanning is also a practice of othering and estranging and aestheticizing the world at the expense of its problems and the way it works and all of the other problems that we don't see because we're too busy delighting in the way things look and the way that we imagine things are. So yeah, I'd say that that's part of the issue. But you know, the fact that the thing you like about something can also be the thing that you find problematic about it is what makes it so rewarding to think through and work with.
Well said. Jason, followed by Gab.
Let's see. I mean, I don't have any problems with the New York school other like in it, the ones that I can think of have been mentioned. Um, yeah, I think that there's yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. And Gab, concerns?
I like what Max said about your concerns also being why you like it, because I love how the new school is very much like wander around and appreciate nature, take the long route, because I feel like that's how I've been living my life. But then there was this line in the instruction manual about what do we do if we cannot stay here in this fantasy, and it acknowledges that you can't do that. And I think it's like partly because capitalism, partly because life requires balance, but I think the concern is that you do have to find that balance of wonder and time as a circle, but also kind of moving towards something based on the society that we're all inevitably in.
Well said. Well said. And I think I'll just add the early Eileen Miles poems are really good on this topic of, like, I came to New York from Boston because I was very attracted to the scene, but I have no money. I can barely afford food. My apartment, so I'm going to write about all that in the New York style. And that redressed for them, for Eileen Miles, some of the concerns. Once they got to New York from Boston, they realized this isn't all that it's cracked up to be. We're going to go around for final thoughts. Before that, let's see what we've got in the chat. And Dave, can you reach into I didn't ask you to do this earlier, but into the thread and pick out one or two? We might not be able to answer the questions, but at least pose them on the air. Sophia, what do we have?
This is in reference to this idea of like clickiness. Hannah Linden said, in some ways, it's saying it's okay to celebrate your friends. If we expand out to others doing the same, then it's not just a celebration of one friendship group, maybe.
Yes.
Which I thought was a positive perspective on something that is like shared amongst people reading.
Yep. Lainey?
We have a comment from Denny. I think it was curious that O'Hara wrote of his friend Mike Goldberg's sardine painting when it was Grace Hardigan whose work accompanied his Oranges series. So that's a really interesting observation. It makes me also want to recommend, there's a great book called 9th Street Women that came out maybe 1 or 2 years ago that's focusing on all the women in the New York School painters. It's fabulous.
Yeah, and the beats, so weeks 6 and 7 have this happening all the time. In the case of O'Hara, exuberant erasure. In the case of, which is the best way you can put it, in the case of Ginsberg, also, I ended the session last week by quoting Elise Cowan, who was a beat poet, whom he kind of literally erased because he had her type his own typescripts. So this is constantly going on, and this is a 50s art scene, early 60s art scene problem, a huge problem. Hey, speaking of Denny, before we get to final words. So, speaking of Denny created, Jake, do you remember one time we met you in Palo Alto? We did a session in your classroom about a Stein poem, A Long Dress. Then we got in a car. Chris was driving like a madman. Zach had the camera and turned the camera around to the back seat where Anna Strong Safford, and you and I were sitting crammed together in some rental car. And Chris was threatening our lives by driving on the road up to San Francisco.
You got to spice the narrative.
Cops
were behind.
So anyway, we did a riff that was recorded on film by Zach on the relationship between Wallace Stevens, the man with the blue guitar, and
Songo.
Bob Kaufman's Crudy song, or Crudy Sengo.
Songo, yeah.
Songo. And we did it, and it was nuts. Well, the aforementioned Denny Stern just recently made an audio. He added bongos and some kind of percussion to it, and redid it. And I will pass it around. I think I may have passed it around. And I'm also going to add it to CCCR, which is a fourth syllabus. So we have the main syllabus, we have ModPo Plus, we have the TRC, Teacher Resource Center, and we have CCCR, which is collaborative, collective, close, community collaborative close reading. And so anybody out there who wants to point a camera at yourselves or do a Zoom call and talk about any of our poems or make your own Denny-style remake of our stuff, we will post it to CCCR. And currently there's about 110 videos, but there needs to be more. Okay, final thoughts as we go around the room. So we're going to use the same order we've been using just now. Sophia first, Lainey on deck. Final thoughts.
I'll be brief. For my final thoughts, I just want to ballyhoo my office hours. They happen at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays. And per Stanley's glowing review, I feel like everyone should join me. I have a good time in them, and always look forward to seeing you guys there. So, yeah.
Thank you, Sophia. Lainey, followed by Jake.
I'm going to ballyhoo all the office hours, everybody's office hours. And I want to especially thank everybody who came to my office hours this week. We had a great conversation of Ashbery's Hard Times, which is a poem that I had not spent time with recently.
It's about economic privation and the scariness of times like this.
We had a great hour-long conversation about the poem. So if you haven't looked at it lately, do that. And then come to my office hours Mondays at 5 p.m.
Yay. Can you click the text? The first quatrain. Trust me, the world is run on a shoestring. They have no time to return the calls in hell and pay dearly for those wasted minutes. Somewhere in the future, it will filter down through all the proceedings, but by then, it will be too late. John in one of his down moods. Okay, Jake, followed by Kate.
This may have been said in the space, but Alice Notley passed away this year. I was just remembering going to hear her read the whole book of Descent of Alette, like from start to finish in 2 different installments in San Francisco.
It's actually all online. You could find it, that recording.
Oh, really? At the lab. Yeah, well, we were there. And that experience, and also just that book, talk about mystical experience. It was just incredible.
Thank you, Jake, and thanks for joining us. Hope it's a lot. You do it a lot from now on. Somehow.
I would like to.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jake. Kate, followed by Dave.
I just want to say thank you for reading and ballyhooing my book. I think that's the first time I've used that word.
Say it again. Say it again.
Ballyhoo.
Yeah, you made it. You made it an ing word. Ballyhooing.
Oh, we hadn't. Yeah. All right. And also my office hours at 2 tomorrow, and I can't wait.
Yay, Kate. Thank you. I mean, it turns out that the webcast, and particularly office hours, are not only the difference ModPo makes. There is no other massive open online course, free, non-credit, that gives you that kind of live interaction, present-day interaction. It doesn't, right? The office hours in particular. I mean, where else are you going to get that? Okay? So everybody should be taking advantage of these office hours. Don't be shy.
He's ballyhooing.
It's not scary.
Right now.
It's not scary. Is it scary? No, it's not scary.
No, it's not scary at all.
Yeah, like, oh, I don't know. They're going to ask me a question I won't know. No, it's ModPo. Come along and have some fun. Okay, thank you, Kate. Dave, followed by Erica.
It was great to see Jake. I'm really glad this week we got to talk about Kate's work. It was really cool. I want to ballyhoo everybody's office hours, but also mention everybody should consider dropping comments in the discussion forum for the webcast, so we can think about them and discuss them, because they're fun. And there's a handful of really cool ones that were left for this webcast. And I'll just read something really quick from something that Robin Carlos left. She said, I like thinking about O'Hara moving through the extra structured space of MoMA, white walls, white text directing traffic flow during the workday, and then through the more choose your own adventure spaces of the city on his lunch breaks and before and after work, and how those different flows of movement and observation impacted both content and form for him.
Yay, Robin. You know, look, I don't know if this is Robin's first year, maybe second, maybe third, but this is the first time I'm engaging fully with Robin's comments, and I just got to say, we're so blessed to have you as part of our community, Robin. Keep it up. You seem to be everywhere, and we all appreciate that. Among others, there are others like Robin out there, but Robin is the person we're thinking of right now, and it's really great to be in contemporary, instant contact with Robin and others who post. Erica, followed by Allie.
To echo what I'm hearing other people say, also a ballyhoo to office hours and, the incredible work of Alice Notley, who in mine on Friday at 9 will be putting Notley in conversation with Stein. And I also want to ballyhoo the Teacher Resource Center and to thank Suzanne Miller, who's been reviving some of the discussion threads over there. And I encourage folks who teach, who are interested in teaching, who are thinking about what this stuff does in classrooms, to join us over there.
Hey, Erica, can you and I, maybe we can get Max into this because he helped co-author the TRC. Can we get like a special post symposium mode Zoom to talk about teaching? The three of us maybe, and others will join. I know Lainey and others really care about this topic. So let's put a pin in that and do that. Okay. Thank you. Allie, followed by Max. Final thoughts?
I have 2 office hours this week, tomorrow at 11. And if you can't come to that, you can come see me again or for the first time on Friday at 11.
Allie, would you send me an email reminding me so I can put it in the announcement?
Sure.
The class-wide announcement? Okay, great. Max, followed by Jason.
I have nothing to ballyhoo, but it was great seeing you all again. I love being able to take this, let's say, this stroll around, these poems, mentally every once in a while, just to kind of get the gears going a bit. So thanks as
Max,
always to
we
everyone.
miss your regular presence. Glad that you can come when the time works out for you. Wish you lots of luck with your new full-time job, which is keeping you a little away from ModPo. But to say that we care about your involvement, presence, and impact on this is to say the very least. Thanks, Mac. What are you snickering about?
I'm laughing because there's a comment in the chat that says Berlin
doesn't ballyhoo.
No, ballyhooing is not cool.
That's Matt Coben. That's really acerbic. Berlin doesn't ballyhoo. That's really great. I wish there was a B word for doesn't, but okay. That's barely. Berlin barely ballyhoos. That's great. Jason, followed by Gab, followed by Al.
See, just want to ballyhoo my office hours, which are tonight at 8 p.m.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jason. Gab, followed by Al, followed by Sign Off.
I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited to read Kate's book.
Yay.
Yeah.
And we just did a deal with Gab. Can I announce? In the
Sure.
next fall, Gab's going to be involved with the in-person course for ModPo, and also with this, I hope.
Oh, yeah. I figure they're both one and the same. Yeah.
So great. Fantastic. Okay, Al's final words. Oh, I'm going to give them over to my dear friend, the talented Sophia DeRose, who wrote a somewhat New York School influence. What? What's wrong?
Nothing.
I'm hearing like whimpering to my left. Who's been writing amazing poems and wrote one after a I would say familially, personally harrowing experience in North Carolina dealing with family stuff, and came back into a nor'easter and wrote this poem. And I want us to conclude, if you don't mind,
No, I don't mind.
Sophia reading this remarkable poem, which is brand new and will have an impact.
Okay.
Here it is. Sophia DeRose, do not forget that you heard it here first.
I didn't know this was going to happen, but I'll read it. Okay. A nor'easter storm threatens landing gear. I'm threatened already by the sear of a pink sky. There have been 3 plane rides in my life where I opened a book and cried into its spine, knowing goodbye was missed outside the window. Sun crushing, grammar incinerating, helpless, flighty, and all there was. I think I'd like to spend all my time in bed thinking until my father's bed grows roots, sticks him needle-like against his ghosts. Time zones bloat and balloon, making yesterday's tearful admission today's promise, a coin-shaped omen I wear around my neck. I found a mountain of Marlboro Reds and creased Red Bull cans. Bernadette, does this mean in this poem it is time to die? I would like to neighbor, love, mispronounce the obvious mud of your obvious yield, but the journey home is nonstop, brittle-lipped, nothing like a poem. In the critical moment, everything is in the language we do not understand.
Yeah.
In the critical moment, everything is in the language we do not understand. Sophia DeRose, you are extraordinary, and we're honored. I'm honored to have you sitting to my left. What's going on with you?
I was saying thank you.
You're just scratching your nose, like
I'm fidgeting.
nervous, fidgeting. Anyway, Sophia, everyone, Lainey, Jake, so appreciate you. Yes, and Jason, and Kate, and Allie, and Erica, and Dave, and everybody else. Thank you, and let's get to the rest of week 7. And I hope a lot of you will be writing an essay about Bernadette. Please do. And then we will get on to week 8, which is quite amazing. Thank you all. And thanks to Zach, who's back. We missed him in New York, but he's back. We love him tremendously, referring to him in the third person, even though he's right in front of us. And Chris Martin, who, carries the water sometimes. Thanks. Yeah, what's wrong with
more
that?
than that.
Onto the water you
And
gotta
many more.
And then some.
Feet.
Carries a lot of water. Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.